day, and I was just thinking, and I was wondering why, for some reason, I kept bumping into um, finding women that were wanting to date me and be in a relationship, but some of these women, they had just gotten out long-term relationships and things like that, and wanted to date, but they didn't basically give themselves time to heal from their past experiences or so, So I started to think, well, what's wrong with me? So me thinking about this, because I was like, dang, I said, this woman, something wrong with that one, something wrong with that one, that one, that one, that one. I said, dang, something must be wrong with me. So eventually I started calling up a few clinical therapists. So when I started calling up a few clinical therapists, a lot of them, they were like the first, like at least 3 or 4 of them, they were fully booked. But when I spoke about my experiences, I remember one, she said, when I told her what I was working through, because I had already started working on myself, not being in a state of depression. So when I told her what I was doing, she asked me, she said, hey, could I keep your number so that I could get you to speak about what you're doing to work through your depression and your past experiences so that you can help someone else? So in me, when I was thinking about this early this week with this woman, because I had another topic that I wanted to discuss, but I was like, you know what, maybe I could use this to maybe help someone, no, it may not help everybody, but I think it will help a good bit if I put this out. So eventually I started going to therapy. Uh, and I believe I was paying like $78, $78 or so per session, like a weekly session, $78 virtual, because this was during the virus in 2020. So what I started doing, not only going to therapy, I started detaching myself from uh, friends, so-called friends. I begun to be on social media less till a certain point to where I was off social media for probably from like going into like 2021 to like 2024 or something like that. So I started detaching myself from a lot of things in 2020. I started working out every day, and um, when I was stressed out, or I could sense that my blood pressure was um, increasing, then I would just go jog. And I don't know if a lot of people notice, but when this is just a health thing. So when you notice that when you get a headache or so, right? Well, who knows? It could be if it's a pounding kind of like continuous thing and you can't that might be a sinus infection possibly. But what I know is that when you feel like you have a blood pressure, your blood vessels are constricting and tightening. So uh, now it's like tightening is going to your brain. So what you need to do, you are not getting enough blood flow and fluid, going through, circulating through your body. So eventually, when I noticed something was wrong or I was just stressed out, I go and I would just always just go jog. Um, Another thing that I started doing was uh, donating to charities. I started donating to charities, donating old clothes that I didn't, I stopped wearing. Um, and I also was like, you know what, let me change every couple of years I would change like my look, my wardrobe and what I would tend to do is buy things to make me look more professional. So I started doing that. And, you know, most people, when they buy clothing, it's like if you go in most people's closet in their wardrobe, you'll notice that they only wear 20% of their clothing. So what I tend to do, I'll buy like this shirt I got on. I got like 5 of these shirts, expensive shirts, but good quality. And like in my wardrobe, I might see like 3 of the same pants with slight variations, but that's just how I shop. Because if I like something, it's just thing. But I know that's not for everybody. But I tend to look at it as just classic and not being wasteful. So I started doing that. I started not just working out and trying to look good. I also made sure that I started eating healthier whole foods. So I started shopping at Whole Foods, and I know everybody can't afford Whole Foods like that, but I think you can, because Whole Foods, it's pretty good. It's not like, you know, you're not going to find everything, but at least you know that you're eating cleaner. Like one of my buddies, he'll tell me, "Why you eating at Whole Foods almost every day?" But I was like, "But it's cleaner." And to me, is you either going to pay for it now or later in your health. So it's just best to eat cleaner food. And, you know, you have to uh, think about what you're putting into your body. You know, these animal products and things that you're eating, you have to be mindful, because, I mean, you have to think about uh, these animals, they do have nerves, and, um, you know, it's like well, you know, they have a spirit or so too, you know. So it's like you have to be mindful what you put in your body. So I try to put clean clean, healthy foods you know, in my body. Um, and for me, it has turned into a healthy lifestyle, not just something to where you do it for a little while, then you know, you just going about your day. Um, Not only that, in 2020, sometime in 2020, I'm trying to look, okay. Sometime in 2020, I also started to learn and study more about Islam, learning and reading the Quran. Um, just like now, I'm currently learning Arabic, Al Arabiya. I forgot how to say the thing, but I'm getting there. But yeah, we'll get there. Um, I attended a Christian college sometime in 2019, and we had to learn like the Old Testament and the New Testament. And going through what we learned in class, you know, you have to learn and take a test on every chapter of the Old and New, all 66 books. And I felt like something was missing. So this is what I wanted to do, was to get the spiritual connection with God. You know, it's like not only, I think it's just that something like we need to make sure that we have and think about why we're here on earth. So it's like me just making sure I have that spiritual connection with God. And when I learned about the Bible and went through the books, I was like, okay, something's missing. And then I started learning more about the Quran. And I was like, okay, so it's what I learned is that Christianity was is the closest religion to Islam. And also some of the same messages like the Torah, which is the first 5 books of the Bible, You have that in the Quran. You have the messages of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. There and all that is basically four different people giving their account of the messages that were happening. Um, the miracles that were happening. And so you have that, and then this is one for the people. People always say, well, I can't eat no pork. Well, in Leviticus, it tells you what meats not to eat. So, people just got this thing to make things fit the way they would like. So it could go along what they want to do. Oh, God say bless your food, and, but it tells you what meat to eat, not to eat in Leviticus. So I just, begin to pray more, continue to learn more. I started reading more books, along with the jogging and working out almost every day, going to therapy, changing the way I look. Hell, I think around that time I cut my hair bald. I got hair, so I don't know. I know some people, some women, they'll say, "Oh, I don't like no man with no bald hair." I got hair. It's just that I don't know. For me, it was that I saw that I attracted more women, different, different women from different cultures or ethnic groups. Once I cut my hair, I was like, like that's why I did it. But I was like, nah, I'm not going back. so that's why I was like, no, nah, keep it bold. And then not only that, I started traveling often. Start traveling the world often, working every day, trying to make more money. And not only that, I also started my business around that time, sometime in 2021. Started networking with more people, and even like now, I was just talking to a buddy of mine earlier. This is something I want to talk about in another broadcast, but he was saying how wondering why certain ethnic groups of people don't work together. And we were talking about networking, and I said, you know what? I said, if you already establishing yourself and trying to be successful, one of the best platforms to go on is LinkedIn. Because people, they'll be in your inbox, constantly asking you to network, and just like me. I was at sometime last year in December. I became business partners with, her name is Nashira. So shout out to her, with Niche Assets. So bless her and thank her for wanting to work with me. Now, let me tell you something. Just because, you hear me sit up here and talk about, oh, well, I'm a real estate investor, but I like talking about relationships and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you may think to say, okay, well, oh, he's up there, nice clothes and this and that. But look here, I struggle too. I put myself in situations with finances and take risks. So it's like I'm working to be successful. I don't have it all. I'm just like you. But yeah, once I started traveling the world and stuff and seeing how for me, it was like seeing how I got treated a little better outside the United States as a black man. So I noticed that I didn't really sense any racism or prejudice when I was out. Like in the US, mostly people here, it's like maybe a good 40 something percent white Americans, and then you have the others, just Hispanics, Black Americans, so forth and so forth. But when I go to these other countries, it's like people are so happy to see me. Sometimes like I don't know if it's because I seem like taller than everybody, but I'm only 6 feet. But in most countries, you don't see people just you don't see it all all the time. To where you see people taller than you all the time, taller than me all the time, or so. But then even if when people see me in the way I dress, it's like people just want to come up and they'll say stuff to me, compliments, or where are you from? Or what do you do for a living? And blah, blah, blah. And I was like, man, it's a great feeling. So I, enjoy traveling. Um, and for those that, may be wondering, I'll have to mention it, but I'm mixed. So I'm mixed up with Nigerian, Cameroon, Ivory Coast, and what is there? Oh, and I never forget, I'm 1% Italian. I like my Pellegrino water in my pasta. Pasta. Oh, and bread and oil, olive oil. um, but yeah, so that's what I wanted to talk about, was the fact that I hope that some of the points I'm making, hopefully to help somebody to say, hey, let me start working out. Let me go to therapy to work on myself. I actually, this young lady told me that she was in an abusive relationship. And, um, I told her that, hey, she's like, she never told her mom, she didn't tell her dad. And this was a guy that she had been with for like 5 years or something. And I told her, hey, you should go see a clinical therapist. And now she's in the right space. So now she's working through it. And she's actually seeing a psychotherapist. So I was glad to help her. And I hope, like, even me mentioning this now, maybe it would help someone watching this video to say, hey, you know, go get the help. I know most people say they don't have the money, but some people make time and spending money for the things that they want. And I think that if you make your mental health a priority, things will get better for you. Because what it really does is boost your self confidence and your self esteem. And you also making sure that you pray and hopefully you believe in something. Like I tell most people, I am a practicing Muslim, but at the same time, I believe we all serve the same God. You just call him a different name than I do, but hopefully you believe in something. So long as you are getting a spiritual connection, because I also know that even with my life experiences, that I wouldn't have the things that I have. I wouldn't be able to get through the things that I get through. Sometimes I struggle. Sometimes I feel depressed. But you will be surprised how when you pray, when you go out and you are generous and you help somebody else. There might be a lot of people in a more difficult situation than you. Help somebody that 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 person cannot help you back. So that's also a good feeling, but don't just, do things just to make yourself feel good, but do it because you're doing it out the kindness of your heart. Now it's got me saying I don't really want to think heart, but just your kind spirit. Let's just say that. Um, like I'm not preaching to anyone, but I saw something a little this week because even for myself, I go through difficulty and I just try to take it one day at a time. Like I was reading this book called Meditations from Marcus Aurelius, and it was talking about how like we need to focus on today, and it's okay to think about tomorrow, but let's focus on the day because tomorrow's not promised. But let's just get by today. Let's be productive. Let's try to make every effort to work, especially us men work, because I feel like a lot of men complain And then even with these, like I'm on Facebook and I'm watching these gold digger videos and stuff, and I'm like, you want a beautiful woman, she want your money. Duh. I'm like, what we doing? And I'm like, okay, like one thing you have to understand about women is that it's a lot of upkeep. If you want a beautiful woman, it's a lot of upkeep. You want her to dress nice. She's got hell, them little foundation, little makeup and stuff. Those things are like hell, two little small little makeup thing. Them damn things like $60, $70 for them little small little containers. And you want her to do that. You want her to get her nails done, her hair done. Her hair. I remember years ago, I was just being kind, and um, there's one young lady. I think she took like, I think to get her hair done was like $200 or $300, and then not only that, her hair is so long that it took the people. I think they worked on her for like 6 to 7 hours or some crap, and I was just like, damn, all that for a date, and I was just like, but that's the upkeep. So of you wanting to be with an attractive woman.